Bassett.
Yes?
Oh, sorry to have caught you the very moment you returned home.
Yes, I'm sorry too.
What?
I never buy things at the door.
No, you're not buying, Mr. Bassett, you're selling.
But
Your cottage. My name's Mitchell, Reynolds and Finn. Estate agents.
Mr. Mitchell, what I suggest you do is return whence you came and present Mr. Reynolds and or Finn with my compliments and tell them that I'm quite happy where I am. Thanks very much.
Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Finn are, alas, no longer with us, sir.
Ah. Well, tell whoever received the spirit message, because I certainly never saw it.
But, do you mean your cottage is not for sale?
Look, I've only been here 3 months. I haven't met all the mice yet.
That's extraordinary because the young lady said we could show clients round after 6:30.
Young lady. What young lady?
Your secretary.
No.
Your wife.
Ah.
She gave us the fullest details of the cottage.
Excuse me.
Oh. And great interest has been shown. Well, am I to familiarise myself with the place or not, sir? Clients are on their way.
Oh!
Listen.
Hello, George.
Did you ring Reynolds and Thingy?
Oh, Reynolds and Finn.
Finn, yes, who, alas, are no longer with us. Did you ring them? Come on, you did, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You had the bloody cheek to put my house on the open market.
Well, I thought I'd save you the trouble, George. I know how busy you are.
I'm going to be even busier, aren't I? We're conducting tours going on all night.
Oh, George, don't be so silly. Your cottage will be snapped up by the first person who sees it.
If there's any snapping to be done, I'll organise my own snapping, thanks
That,
very much.
I should think, is highly unlikely, since in 3 months you haven't made the slightest effort to end this highly embarrassing situation.
Those 3 months happen to be the time allowed by law in its infinite wisdom for two people who are drifting apart to come together again, to sort out their problems, to recognise their differences.
And what did we do?
We drifted further apart.
Yes.
Yes, because one of those two people didn't make the slightest effort. They never gave an inch.
Well, George, it's awfully nice to hear you admit your failings, but the decree absolute was signed and sealed a week ago, and the law, in its infinite wisdom, would be the first to agree that it has been wasting its bloody time.
Well, why don't you move?
Because you said you would.
Certainly did not.
Several times, if things didn't work out.
Oh, yeah.
You said you'd move if things didn't work out.
Yes.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah.
Well, then.
Yeah, well, I only said that because I thought things would work out.
Well, they haven't.
No.
So it's time to lead the separate lives that we should have started leading 3 months ago. And quite frankly, George, I do not get that feeling of freedom and independence if I'm living so close to you that I can practically hear you change your socks. No, wait, well, look, what I'm trying
to say is clear off. I mean, you don't have to spell it
No,
out.
George, listen, what I'm trying to say is that I want to have the chance to forget you.
Yeah, okay.
No, not forget you. I'll never do that, and I hope that you'll never entirely forget me.
Well, yeah.
Look, I didn't get on to Reynolds and Finn in a fit of pique or anything like that. It was just because
You wanted to hear somebody else change their socks, yeah.
You'll get a super price.
Oh, do you think so?
Oh, I mean, property's gone right up.
Oh, yeah, then there's the improvements I've made. You know, the cigarette burn on the mantelpiece and the broken window I checked the burnt risole through, yeah. No, it's just that up until the decree absolute, I rather felt that we'd be hiring somebody to knock a hole through that wall. Well, I think we both felt that, didn't we?
Mr. and Mrs. Fielding, my name's Mitchell.
But I think you've got some customers.
For my desirable residence.
Yeah, you better go and polish up that cigarette burn.
Well, I'll go and vet them anyway.
Just vet them?
Well, I want to make sure that the right sort of people are living door to my ex-wife.
You will go ahead with it, George.
Pardon?
The move.
Of course I will, darling.
You wouldn't try and get out of it.
Look, I'm a man of my word, Dad. I mean, you know that. Well, I'm a man of most of my words.
Mr. Bassett, I was just telling these clients there seems to have been some mistake.
No mistake. No, do carry on.
Really? Oh, that is good news, because you appeared not to know about...
Yeah, well, one of my secretaries, well, you can't keep tabs on everything, can you?
Oh, indeed not, no. Well, this is Mr. and Mrs. Fielding, Mr. Bassett, who owns the property.
How do you do?
How do you do? Well, It looks quite beautiful, doesn't it, darling?
Oh, most attractive, yes.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks very much. Do come in, will you?
Thank you, Sam. After you, my dear.
Yes, thank you. Oh, I don't know how you can bear to leave it.
Well, one outgrows things, you know.
Yes.
Well, one moves on.
Oh, I'd never move on from here, would you, darling?
No, indeed, no. Of course, it's just a weekend place for us, of course.
Oh, well, weekends fine, yes. A bit small for living in.
Oh, not for one person, surely. I wish I'd had something like this when I was single, don't you, Freddie?
Yeah, me too, absolutely perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, but still, we mustn't say too much, my dear. I mean, after all, Mr. Bassett might change his mind.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear, that would never do, would it?
No, indeed.
No, but honestly, Mr. Bassett, we have looked at dozens of cottages, and we haven't found one that could hold a candle to this.
Oh, not a candle.
Candle.
Yes.
And you're so handy for the train and the buses.
Yes, and I mean, the M4 so near.
Yes, but you'd never dream it. Oh, it's paradise. You must have awfully strong reasons, Mr. Bassett, for wanting to leave all this.
Yes, well, working in London, no.
Oh, London. Don't talk to us about smelly old London. That's where we're buying a weekend place. Have you got your new place yet? Oh, well, obviously you have. Otherwise, this little piece of heaven wouldn't be on the market. But didn't you find everything a price?
Price,
You're
yes,
doubled
yes.
in the last year, our wager.
And for what? For absolute rubbish.
Oh, rubbish.
And anything decent, the
The
earth.
Well, we mustn't hold Mr. Bassett up. Would you like to see the kitchen?
Enough
Oh,
to
thank you
yes.
most awfully. Yeah.
Where are we?
Through here.
Oh, it's divine! Oh, Freddie, this is our lucky day! Oh, darling, it's simply heavenly! Look at that super window! Oh, darling, can you imagine having breakfast here and staring out that...
Oh, my next place is not
beautiful view of
completely settled, you know.
What? I beg your pardon?
What was that?
Sorry. No, just saying. One of my secretaries jumped the gun a bit.
You mean this place isn't for sale yet?
Well, until my London place is finalised.
Yeah, no, just a minute. I mean, supposing your London place isn't finalised.
Well, I'll just have to go on roughing it here for a bit.
Oh dear.
Mr. Bassett, I've arranged other appointments here tonight.
Not with me, you didn't.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Fielding, I don't know how you feel about this.
Well, even if we have to wait, I'm still very keen, aren't you?
Oh, very keen, yeah.
I'd be awfully grateful, Mr. Bassett, if you'd give us first refusal. We're in no hurry.
No hurry, no.
And we'll just have to pray that your new place comes through.
Yes. Well, of course, there is the big drawback. The neighbour. Next door.
You're next door.
Yeah, she's a nymphomaniac. Yes, it's anything in trousers. I mean, it's tragic case because she's a beautiful girl. She's well-read, but just one thing on her mind.
Yes, well, that might not be too much of a problem.
Pretty big one.
I just thought I'd drop that in the conversation for what it's worth, Mrs. Fielding.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Mr. Bassett.
And if my next place is finalised, you can, of course, have first refusal.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Mr. Bassett, but you, in fact, have our refusal now.
No, hang on,
Our
just a
first
moment.
and last refusal. And I would just like to say, Mr. Bassett, that we do appreciate your honesty.
Well.
Don't we, Freddie?
Oh, yes, enormously. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all.
I'm from next door. And I've run out of lard.
Oh, lard this week, is it?
What?
Miss Lonsdale, Mr. and Mrs. Fielding, who are interested in buying the place.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Freddie?
Mr. Mitchell, the estate agent.
How do you...
Lard, was it?
What? Yes, but, later will do.
Oh, it's all right. I'd rather give it to you on my home ground, if you don't mind.
Oh,
It was linseed oil last week.
Next door, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we must be going.
Do you like the place?
Oh, yeah, very much, yeah.
We have things to discuss.
Well, if there's anything that I can help you with, don't hesitate to call.
Oh, thank you.
Freddie?
It'll be nice to have a man around the house, won't it?
Oh, for the odd jobs, yes. Actually, he flatters himself he's not that good.
Mr. Fielding looks a bit useful, doesn't he?
Oh, very useful, yes.
Freddie?
Your lard, Miss Lonsdale.
What? Oh, yes, thank you. And I'm so sorry to have interrupted.
Matter of fact, we were just going.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Mitchell, if ever Mr. Bassett isn't here and I can help you, just ring my bell.
What about that for an offer, eh?
Goodbye, Mr. Bassett.
Mrs. Fielding.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Mr. Fielding, Mrs. Fielding, I do have some other property.
George? What have you been up to?
Pardon?
They behaved very oddly.
Yes, they were a bit odd.
She
weren't
couldn't
they?
wait to go.
No, I think she was a bit worried about him, in case he fell over. Oh, alcoholic.
Really?
Carried it well, didn't he? Carried it very well. They do, the heavy drinkers. But he was nipping from a hip flask the whole time he was there, you know.
Good heavens.
Disgusting. Well, it's not disgusting, actually. I mean, really, you ought to have sympathy for people like that, because it's a disease. But I was thinking of you all the time.
Were you?
Well, I mean, can you imagine him rolling round outside your place at night? I mean, trying to break the door down, being sick all over your doorstep.
Oh, stop it!
Just think you're better off without them, darling, that's all.
Well, I hope I can believe you, George.
I couldn't make up a story like that.
Mr. Bassett.
Oh, Mr. Mitchell, do you think the Fieldings were interested?
I'm afraid not, Miss Lonsdale.
Really? Why not?
Well, I think that's something I should discuss only with my client.
Yes, so if you'll excuse us, Miss Lonsdale?
Yes, of course, Mr. Bassett.
Mr. Bassett, I feel I should like to straighten out your attitude to this sale.
Yes, well, I want to sell. I mean, of course I want to sell, but you can see the problem.
Oh, yes. Matter of fact, I must confess, this is the first time I've ever actually met one.
Really? Well, a word of advice, Mr. Mitchell. If ever you're here on your own and you'll meet her,
Yes?
keep on the move. Don't hang about in the same spot too long.
Well, I'm wondering whether we should continue to advertise this place.
Oh, no, keep the customers coming, Mr. Mitchell.
Oh, well, I'm thinking about our next customer, Mr. Hargreaves.
Mr. Hargreaves?
Yes, single man like yourself.
I mean, how old is he?
Oh, the man I saw, 70s.
Well, I think it'd be pretty safe.
Right, well, if you don't mind, I'll just take some measurements.
Yes, I'll, if you'll excuse me just a second, I just pop next door, miss.
I'm very busy, George, so if you wouldn't mind...
Oh, yeah, so, no, I actually just popped in to tell you that there's somebody else coming to look over the cottage. A man. Yeah, I just thought I'd let you know, that's all.
Excuse me.
Yes, there we are. I mean, think of the thrill of hearing somebody else change their socks at night. I mean, the snap of his manly suspender, the reassuring creak of his bed in the night.
Would you mind?
No, well, you never know. I might be your type, darling. You know what I mean? I mean, big shoulders, square jaw, and hair peeping through his shirt. Excuse me.
I'm looking for Mr. Mitchell of Reynolds and Finn.
Yes, he's next door.
Oh, thanks so much. Sorry, I wasn't sure which cottage. My father made the appointment. Thanks.
Not at all. Well, you were right, George. You might be my type.
No, just a minute. No.
You know, I thought you were leading me on just now. I'm very sorry I misjudged you.
No, just a minute.
Absolutely an ideal size for one person, Mr. Hargreaves. Oh, here comes Mr. Bassett, who owns the cottage. This is...
We met, yes.
Really?
Next door, briefly. Alan Hargreaves, how are you? I'm sorry, I didn't realize this was your place. I imagined you were a married couple.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Goodness.
I was just saying to Mr. Hargreaves, this room, absolutely an ideal size for one person.
No, it isn't.
What?
No, it's too small. I mean, get that boxed-in feeling, you see. Do you suffer from claustrophobia?
Not at all.
You will.
Mr. Bassett.
Well, I think it's only fair to mention the drawbacks, you see. Well, you
Drawbacks?
want room to swing a cat, don't you? I mean, you don't want to live in a matchbox.
Well, you've lived here.
Oh, yes, I've lived here, but why am I moving out? See, it's that boxed-in feeling. Listen, have you ever read the Edgar Allan Poe story about the man sitting in the room and the walls and the ceiling started closing in on him?
No.
If you live here, you won't have to.
Frankly, Mr. Bassett, I think this room is charming. And if the rest of the house lives up to this, I'll have no hesitation.
Dreadful kitchen. It's impossible to keep. I mean, it's all the nooks and crannies, the lumps of grease with fluff on the top. I mean, put you right off your breakfast.
Well, as a matter of fact, I don't cook, and I don't eat breakfast.
Well, a cup of tea in the morning, eh?
A machine makes it beside my bed, so I'll be spared the fluffy grease, won't I? Very nice. Very nice indeed.
Splendid. Well, do come and see upstairs.
Upstairs is a disaster.
Let's take a look.
It's a doll's bedroom, it really is. I mean, there's no room to manoeuvre. His lot's cost me more conquest than you had hot dinners at.
Good heavens, you poor chap.
Mind your head on the beam. They're lethal. Not only that, you start the woodworm rattling. It keeps you awake at night. And the cistern, of course.
I never knew you'd such a good line in sales talk, George.
Pardon?
Anybody would think you were trying to put the gentleman on.
Well, don't you come in here smacking your lips.
Smacking my lips.
If you ask me, he's a puff. Never soils his hand in the kitchen, and he's got a machine to make a dainty cup of tea in the morning.
George.
He's probably got a doll with a crinoline to go with the telephone.
George, in actual fact, I came in to see Mr. Mitchell. There were one or two details I forgot to give him to help sell your cottage.
Yeah, well, keep it to yourself. I mean, it won't need selling to the right sort of person.
What would be your ideal neighbour for me, George? A nice old lady with a cat and a gramophone?
I like it very much. Very much indeed. Oh, hello again.
Hello.
We haven't actually been introduced. Alan Hargreaves.
Susie Bass. No, Lonsdale.
Susie?
Lonsdale.
Ah, well, if all goes well, it looks as though we may be neighbours.
How splendid. I look forward to it.
And obviously, living this close, it's rather important we be good neighbours.
Oh, very important.
I'll do my best.
So will I.
Yes, but wouldn't you like to come see the garden, Mr. Hart?
Ah, yes, thank you. Excuse me.
Yes, of course.
This way.
How splendid. I look forward to it.
Is anything the matter, George?
I just don't like to see my ex-wife throw herself at a man, that's all.
George, it's got nothing to do with
Oh,
that.
come on, you fancy him, don't you?
George, it's just a sense of relief that he hasn't got either a drinking problem or a cat with a gramophone.
Hello? Oh, Mr. Mitchell? He's in the garden with the Queen of the May. It's the office.
Hello, Mitchell speaking.
Might I just have one final look round upstairs?
Yes, of course you can.
Thank you. Just to fix the details in my mind, you know, so that I can answer all my fiancée's questions.
How splendid. I look forward to it. Unfortunately, it looks as though somebody else is looking forward to it. And from the sound of it, she's got priority. Oh, sorry, darling. Could you see yourself doing without a hot water bottle this winter, could you?
George! Shut up!
Yes, of course, I'll tell him. Right. Bad news, I'm afraid, Mr. Bassett.
Bad news.
A client of ours who knows this property well has just rung to say that there's a spur scheduled for the near vicinity.
A spur?
A motorway spur to connect the M4 to the M40. It's only in the planning stage at the moment, but even so, it could seriously reduce the value of your property.
Richard. By how much?
Oh, by at least half by current rates.
Are they allowed to do that?
I'm afraid so. It's one of those present-day threats to every householder.
And what about compensation?
Oh, usually minuscule. Certainly not enough to enable you to buy a similar property elsewhere.
Well, look, you're the house agent, and what am I going to do?
Well, all I can advise you to do is get rid of this place as fast as you can.
Yeah. Well, who's going to be interested in buying it now?
Well, I think I have all the details in my head now.
With water?
No, as it is, thank you.
Right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. You know that boxing feeling? I was only joking, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, you could tell that, couldn't you?
Where?
Oh, you took that with a pinch of salt. I could see that. Yeah. Same as the kitchen.
Oh, the lumps of grease with the fluff on.
Now, I'm glad to see you've got a sense of humour there.
You were certainly right about the doll's bedroom. I don't mind about the size, actually, but my fiancée...
Super place. They're super. I mean, they are falling over themselves to buy them. Now, I tell you what I'll do with you. You write out a cheque here and now, it's yours.
A cheque?
Yeah, and I'll throw in the moose head. There you are.
But my fiancée has to
Need
see...
a pen, do you?
I'm sorry, Mr. Bassey, but a sale can't be conducted like this. There has to be a contract, and Mr. Hargreaves may want a survey.
A survey? He's doing a survey. I mean, these beams for it, they're as sound as a rock. Look at that. How about a deposit? Put your name at the top of the list, there you are.
But I'd like my fiancée...
Because they're queuing up down the road, you know. It's like the Tutankhamun exhibition down there, I'll tell you that.
Really? Well, I'll be in touch as soon as... Thank you very much. Mr. Mitchell?
You don't find a bit of heaven every day of the week. Bloody planners. I bet they don't have a motorway going through their garden.
Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't get a chance to tell you, but we've had a very fair offer.
An offer?
Yeah, from the client who told us about the motorway.
Well, why didn't you say so?
Well, I'm afraid there's a snag, as he wants to buy both cottages.
Both? What on earth for?
Well, to knock them into one. But I'm afraid with this motorway, it's your best chance.
But she's not interested in selling.
But if you were to put it to a logic...
You don't put logical suggestions to women. No, I'll have to try and talk to her. She's got a bit of a business acumen. Well, not so much business acumen as meanness. I'll give it a try.
Right, well, I'll ring this client and tell him you're considering his offer.
Hello, darling.
I'm just about to have my supper,
Yeah,
George.
carry on. Yeah. No, I just wanted to have a little chat.
And if you nick one of my chips, I'll chop your finger right off.
Darling, look, I don't have to tell you that overnight, fortunes are being made by property developers.
By gazumpers, you mean?
People with business acumen, people one step ahead of the field who've got an eye on the market.
I don't usually read the Financial Times at the table.
Buying at the right time and selling at the right time. Now, happily, I'm in a position to be able to offer you a 100%, 18-carat, surefire...
I never gamble.
Let me try and put this another way, darling. They're going to build a motorway at the bottom of your garden.
A motorway?
Yes. Yeah, joining the M4 to the M40.
Who told you this?
Mitchell, and the man who wants to buy both of these cottages.
Both of the cottages?
Yeah.
Plural?
Well, he's only interested in buying them as a pay. I mean, on their own, they're worth virtually nothing if they build that motorway.
So it's not definite.
So, listen, darling. I know this is logic and therefore totally over your head, but let me try and explain in words of one syllable. Now, apart from the fact that the value of the cottage comes down, there's the months of construction work, you realise? I mean, there's the road drills and the sledgehammers drowning out the birdsong, and they work at night, you know. And so when you look out and you think it's a marvellous sunset, it's not. It's their sodium light shining through the trees. And then when they've finished and it's all gone quiet and you just taken a cotton wool out of your ears, then the Lord Mayor comes and snips the tape and all the cars and lorries come belting right past your bedroom window. Is that what you want, darling? Or are you going to do the sensible thing for once in your life?
Thank you, George.
Take this bloke's offer and move out and we'll make a profit. And it's a good offer, darling. I tell you what, I'll take less than half. Now, you can have the lion's share. Now, what do you say, darling?
No, George.
What do you mean, no? You haven't any choice, you bloody idiot!
What sweet old-fashioned charm.
You haven't listened to a blind bloody word I've said.
I shall investigate the possibility of this motorway, and if I find that it is a probability, then I shall fight it.
Fight it?
I'm not crawling away with my tail between my legs. If my home is threatened by some unthinking bureaucratic order, the authorities will very soon realise that they have come to the wrong neck of the woods.
Right, darling, right, yeah.
I'll lobby my MP.
Yeah.
I'll organise meetings and marches. I'll petition the Queen if necessary.
Marvellous, that's marvellous.
Why should the comfort and happiness of humanity be sacrificed on the altar of the machine?
Oh, that's good.
How dare a civil servant, paid for out of our rates and taxes,
Our rates and taxes,
put
yeah.
a mark on a map and cancel out an area of nature
Yeah,
at its
right,
greenest?
yeah, right.
I shall fight.
Darling, I'll help you.
Will you?
Well, you're gonna need help, aren't you?
Am I?
I mean, with all these meeting and marches,
Yeah,
of
but
course.
George, you're going.
Well, not with my tail between my legs.
Yeah,
of course
but
I'm not going.
you can't go on
Well, I
living-
can't sell my house with a price at rock bottom. Now, be fair,
No, I suppose
darling.
you
We are
ca-
fighting for an area of nature at its greenest. They're beautiful words, darling.
Thank you, George.
You know what we've got to do?
No.
We've got to plan our action. Now, right or wrong?
Right.
Right, darling. Get a bottle
But-
and a couple of glasses, and we'll really work things out.
No, but George, this just...
Land of hope and mother of...
Mr. Bassett? Splendid news about this motorway threat. I've just checked up and it's due to be cancelled.
Mr. Mitchell, on your bicycle.
I beg your pardon?
If I catch you hanging around this lady's place again, I'll get in touch with the News of the World. Darling. Sweetheart, a little toast, I think, to our own private little action group. And I'd just like to say thank you for lighting my torch.
Hello. Can anyone join in? Well, I mean, from what I hear, 3 wouldn't be too much of a crowd around here, what? Oh, Miss Lonsdale, just to cement our friendship, I brought you a little present. Have some lard. And linseed oil. Have you ever tried natural beeswax?